Okay, let's dive in. We've got sources today pointing to these two massive stress tests happening at the same time.
Exactly. You've got these huge internal battles over rules and power.
And at the same time, the whole global map is basically being redrawn.
So our job is to really dig in and pull out the core of what's happening.
Give you the fastest route to understanding these challenges. So where do we start?
I think we have to start with the foundation, the judiciary. There's this renewed constitutional fight over who gets to appoint judges.
Right. This is the Collegium versus the NJJC debate.
It is. The Collegium is where judges appoint other judges. The NJHA, on the other hand, would bring in the executive branch.
And this has gone from, a political debate to something very real. Our sources say the Chief Justice of India is going to personally consider a plea to bring back the NJJC.
Which would mean ending the Collegium system, a system that's been in place really since 1993 through court rulings.
So what's the argument for getting rid of it? Why now?
Well, the context is key. When the NJC was struck down back in 2015, the critics were pretty vocal. One source calls that decision a great wrong.
A great wrong. Why?
Because it meant substitution of the will of the people by the opinion of the four judges. And, there's also the charge that the current system is a synonym for nepotism and favoritism.
Wow. Okay, that is some serious institutional friction right there.
It is.
And it doesn't stop with the courts. The tension seems to be spreading to the whole federal structure, right, with this new opinion on the power of state governors.
Yeah, this came out of what's known as the 16th presidential reference. The Supreme Court had to weigh in on how governors should handle bills from state legislatures.
And the outcome has people worried.
Deeply worried. The concern is that it really endangers federalism. The argument is that an unelected governor, who's an appointee of the central government member,
Right.
can now basically use a pocket veto. They can just sit on a law passed by an elected state legislature forever.
Indefinitely. And that's where that term comes from, isn't it? That it turns the state into a shadow union territory.
That's the one. It implies a total erosion of a state's economy.
So when you have all the strain on the inside, it really forces you to look outward because you need some external stability and, well, that's not what we're seeing.
That's the perfect pivot. Let's go to the international stage. Specifically, this Hong Kong Circles for Peace forum that was looking at the U.S.-China rivalry.
And what was the big takeaway there?
The trust is just gone, completely thinned out, to the point where old ideas like engagement or even managed competition, they're just seen as obsolete. They don't apply anymore.
So the conversation's getting much sharper.
Much sharper. It's now about Taiwan and how that discussion is becoming more and more militarized. And that means you need actual crisis prevention theos. What are they suggesting?
Something to handle a potential air or sea incident. Think about that EP3 collision in 2001. A way to stop a small event from spiraling into a huge political crisis. And it's moving beyond just military concerns. They're talking about technology.
They are. AI, specifically. They're framing it as a new kind of international public good that needs global rules on things like equity and transparency.
And I saw a mention that this competition might not even be limited to Earth.
That's right. It was explicitly said that this competition will move into space, into the galaxy, which, immediately makes you ask, who's going to write the rules for that?
So you've got these internal pressures and this massive global turbulence. For a country like India, what's the path forward?
It all comes back to strategic autonomy. The consensus in these sources is that the focus has to be on building domestic strength.
Technological, economic.
All of it.
Yeah.
Instead of just, copying the rhetoric or buying into someone else's narrative about how the world should be, it's about building and holding that middle space.
That is a very tough balancing act. Maintaining your footing with all that stress, both inside and out.
It is.
Okay, so for our final thought, something for everyone to consider.
Right. With all this friction we've talked about, this rivalry, it's interesting, you still see collaboration. The International Astronomical Union just named a 3.5 billion-year-old crater on Mars.
Okay.
They christened it Christian, after a pioneering Indian geologist. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it, if the recognition of pure science can cut through all this political noise and, reach another planet.
What does that say about our potential to cooperate on other big things?
Exactly. Things like governing AI or exploring space together. What does that potential really look like?